Hey everyone, welcome to Quick Hits, hosted by Dental Peers. Sean Peers, of course, yours truly, CEO and president of Dental Peers. And today we are bringing you the first in our series of educational videos designed, as the name suggests, to be just that, quick hits. We want to make them fairly short and get you some great information as quickly and as time efficiently as possible. So I'm joined by my friend Nicole Ross today from Maxill. Nicole, do you want to say hi to everybody?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, great. It's great to have you. Thank you for taking the time to join us. So some of you may have had the opportunity to see Nicole present in the past, in those good old days when we could do live events. And some of you may have seen her on Zoom because she is definitely a well sought after presenter and speaker. She is someone who graduated from Fanshawe College back in 1995 as a level 2 dental assistant and has, believe it or not, been in the dental practice industry. That makes it for getting around 20 years now. Hard to believe, right?
Hard to
Time
believe.
flies. But she's taken her love of dentistry into a whole host of other avenues, working as a dental treatment coordinator, working as a speaker. She's very knowledgeable in terms of things, all things IPAC. So, she has a lot of information and a wealth of knowledge that she can share with you. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about how offices can manage stress within the dental team, because let's face it, I mean, COVID has added a certain layer of stress to everybody that wasn't there before, but even at the best of times, it can be a little bit of a stressful situation. So Nicole, what do you tell teams to help them out in that regard?
Well, right now with COVID, there's so much time management that seems to be the biggest stressor for me going in and implementing and helping out IPAC practices. The number one thing I would recommend is communication. Communication is huge. Whether you're a small team of four, whether we're 22, it really doesn't matter. But I find personally and professionally communication, if it's lacking, your team is going to feel the stress, your patients are going to feel the stress, and the overall environment will be from a negative perspective.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that too, and especially in a world where change is even faster and more constant than it ever used to be. If people don't know what's coming,
Right.
that is a source of stress for them, and that's the communication aspect that really can help out.
Right. And the other aspect that sometimes harbors the stress is just the unknown. With all three governing bodies, unfortunately, agreeing to disagree, we really don't know what's expected in regards to our rules. So to work together as a team, whether it's the dentist who knows his RCDSO guidelines, whether it's the hygienist who knows her CDHO guidelines, or whether it's the well-established dental assistant who really falls in the middle of it all, trying to do the best he or she can, work together as a team, communicate, and just trust each other as a whole, as a family, because that's what you really are.
100%. And I mean, this is my experience, and maybe yours has been similar. I mean, anytime I've gone into an office where there's issues, where they're feeling like they're underperforming, the fact that there's a lack of communication seems to be probably the greatest and most common issue from one office to the next.
Mhm.
Every office can have some unique characteristics and dynamics that maybe are affecting performance in this office that aren't a
Right.
factor for other ones. But it's like, how often do I hear, we just don't know what's going on, we don't know what to expect of us?
Mhm.
And so what are your suggestions for remedying those sorts of situations?
Well, to be honest, from what I do in regards to IPAC, and I will speak professionally as well, and personally because I still do practice, I find by everybody participating in the public health online modules, everybody, that understanding is a platform that everybody has to know the rules and regulations across the board, whether you're front desk, dental assistant, dental hygienist, or even a practicing dentist should know those modules, because then everybody has a same vocabulary, same knowledge base to start, and then proceed into your regulatory bodies, RCDSO, public health, and CDHO. Mhm.
Yeah.
That would be a good start base, and maybe even to have huddles, like morning huddles. Go through your day, see what's expected of you from a patient to patient basis. Make sure that you've got structured time for fallow time. Make sure you have structured time for breaks, for lunch, to go for a walk, to clear your head.
Clearing your head, that's always a well-advised, and it sounds so simple but yet so underutilized, right?
It is. It's huge. Even myself professionally, sometimes I find that you're putting in 8-hour days, sometimes for more. You're trying to see as many patients as you can based on the fallow times. Just to take a quick walk outside relieves a lot of stress that you don't even know you had.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because I often find when I talk to the dentist and report back that, the team is concerned that there's a lack of communication, they seem to think it's like just an easy fix. Okay, I'll communicate more, I'll talk to them more. And that's helpful. I
It
mean,
it really is.
that small talk is helpful. That time that you get to sort of spend, just as, we're just people,
Right,
we're getting to know each other on a human level. That
right,
is helpful.
right.
But if it stops there, that's not always enough.
No, because you could have stress before you even come to your practice, whether it's family, whether it's just life in general. Then you have bombarded with the schedule and all of the dynamics of IPAC and what you have to wear for PPE and the hot environment that you're under. And then you don't have time to even take a break or lunch. So there's so much stress outside of, as well as in the practice, that you kind of have to filter as a team as well as independently.
And are you hearing that as being one of the issues why, like, we're seeing such this great outflow of people leaving dentistry right now?
It's huge right now. I have a lot of colleagues that have been practicing, like you said, 20 plus years, but have just called her quits based on the stress level, based on all the guidelines that are expected of them. Family dynamics have changed in regards to being at home for a period of time and not have to go back to reality is huge. Yes.
So, I mean, we know these expectations now exist, right? They're sort of being imposed externally. They're requirements for compliance.
Right.
So, how does the communication help in one office? Like, whether I'm a good communicator or not, I still have these external requirements. Why does it make a difference for one office so that they seem to be functioning and people managing stress better, and the next office, it seems like they just can't manage a thing.
Well, I personally think it depends on how many years you've been in it, to be honest, whether it's a new grad or somebody that's practiced 20, 30 years. It's just based on your overall morale. If you still have a drive for it, you're going to strive at it. You're going to learn the new tricks of the trade. And if you don't have the passion for it, you'd have lost your sprite, I guess, if you want to call it, your spike in your profession, then maybe you have to reevaluate or rethink of why did I get into my profession in the first place? I even had to do that a couple years ago, just burnt out to a certain extent, had to figure out, okay, why do I love this profession still after 20 plus years? What maybe continuing education courses I need to do or self-initiation to get back to where I had the love and passion for it. Sometimes that little communication with the DA, whether it's the dentist as well, sometimes sparks their interest back as to why they actually got into the profession in the first place. That reevaluates it and go, okay, you know what? We need to do A, B, C to get back on board.
Exactly. And I mean, let's face it, when we are talking about that kind of communication, it has to start somewhere. That's what leadership has to step up, and that's what leadership is about.
Mhm.
And I know sometimes some people try to shy away from that. They just want to hide in their operatories and do their thing and then make a clean break when the time comes to leave for the
Right.
end of the day. How do we get people to sort of change that mindset? And it's not just dentists.
No,
a lot of team members suffer from that same sort of, this, I just want to do my thing and go.
they do. And from where I go into many practice, like I said, sometimes just team building exercises. And that doesn't mean hiring a manager to come in or an HR person to come in and give you structure. It could be as simple as doing a potluck, going outside, having a picnic with your team, doing something fun outside of the work environment to get your mind out of IPAC, to get your mind out of your patients, to get your mind out of all of the stress that we have. Maybe even do quarterly big trips somewhere. The fall's coming up, winter's coming. We could do ski. We could do a lot of different avenues outside of the work environment to get that stress out of there. Team build. I know that's a stressor for some because some don't really want to team build in regards to having relationships outside of the work. But I find personally and professionally, that's the key. You're with them more than time than with your own family.
True, true.
Mhm.
So it definitely does help. Obviously, respecting some people's space. As you say, there are some people that maybe they're just a little more introverted and they are happy with just kind of coming in and doing their thing.
Right.
But you still have to check in with them,
You still
and
have to
make sure
check
they
in.
are
And
okay.
even just as simple to say, can I help you? Is your day going okay? Is there something I can do? There might be strengths in certain aspects of your team where maybe there's a stronger person that would like to take over the sterile bay, relieve that burden where you're actually then able to have your break as a hygienist, have your lunch, and he or she as a dental assistant maybe takes over the sterile bay. That's a simple task like that. or somebody that's strong in organization maybe then takes on the recording and logging that's mandatory in the sterile bay, that I find is a huge stressor in amongst the office team right now.
Right.
Mhm.
And you know, I mean, you touched on something earlier in your presentation where you mentioned the fact that you know, getting the huddle in place is a big key. And one of the things that I always like to sort of talk to people about when with respect to the huddle, particularly, I mean, it can be a bit more cumbersome if the team is large,
Right.
but you know, if it's a smaller team, to be able to have a minute or two at the beginning of the huddle to just check in and say, how is everyone today?
Yeah, I think that's a very valuable aspect of beginning your day. It kind of sets a precedent as to how your day is going to play out, how your schedule is going to fall, what the stress level is going to be like, making sure everybody's got a timely manner to take their breaks, to take their lunch, as well as just decompress for 2 seconds. Organize your schedule so that there's buffer times for fallow times if rooms need to be adjusted, that everybody needs to leave at a certain time for family dynamics. It kind of sets a precedent to get that huddle in place. Even if it's 2 minutes, that's a great start to your day.
Yeah, I like it, you know, because if it is a situation where maybe somebody came in, the morning was rough, maybe there's some external considerations. They've got a family member whose health is compromised, so they've got this additional stress. And you know, in the past, we've always been taught, don't bring your outside stress into the workplace. Like somehow we could just carve that off from our
Right.
lives, right?
Right.
And instead now this idea that, you know, is everybody okay? And to be open and to give permission to the team for someone to come in and say, you know, right now I'm having a tough time because,
Right.
and the rest of the team can hopefully then say, okay, you know, we're given permission for this person. We're going to help try to lift them up. But we know that if we need them at a 10
Yes.
or a 9, and today they're coming in at a 6,
Right.
I may have to pick up a little bit of slack, or I may have to find a way to help support them to get them maybe up to a 7 or an 8.
And that could be reciprocated back when that next team member is having a bad day or the whole team is having a rough day. Hmm.
Exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. And that's why, like I said, I mean, it's obviously a challenge if you've got a large team, if you're going to run through 20 odd people in a morning huddle, just checking in to make sure everyone is okay. You can modify it just, you know, with a sort of, hey, is there anyone having particularly a bad time today? And you know, I mean, I always say the leaders, the dentists, sometimes, you know, the office managers, they have to be the ones to step up and volunteer that when they're the ones
Right.
having a bad day,
And
right?
to be honest, sometimes it is even the principal dentists that are having the worst day of all, and nobody checks in on them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of reciprocated back, right? If the dentist is having the bad day, the rest of the team sometimes has a bad day too, regardless of the situation.
Yeah, but exactly. But that's that start of communication. That's that ability to show that, hey, you know, this is a place that maybe they're caring for me just a little bit more than what I can provide
Right.
in terms of the revenue I can help bring in. But you know, they're looking out for me in these tough times.
Yeah, and again, I said you spend more time with your dental colleagues, excuse me, than you do your sometimes your own family. So it's really important to have the respect, the honesty, and the trust, as well as communication to make it work a successful, stress-free environment for everybody, really.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, those are some great tips, some great ideas, ways that people can sort of help try to use communication as a means to help collectively deal with the stress that we're all dealing with in this crazy dental world and just this crazy world in general right now. So, you know, I mean, Nicole, if people wanted to learn a little bit more in terms of what you can, how you can help them manage some of their stress levels and coordinate and organize their systems to at least reduce some of it on certain levels, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
You can email me here at Maxill. My email will be given to through Sean, but it's Nicole, Nicolr at Maxill.com. But we will be offering a Maxill CE in the next few weeks on stress management. You're more than welcome to be going on our website in the next few weeks. You'll see it posted, and I'll have further more education for you to help subsidize some of the stress and make your lives all more easier and friendly to work for.
Well, thanks very much for joining us, Nicole. I'm sure we're going to have you back another time for some more great information that you can share with the members of Dental Peers. And I look forward to some regular visits on that front. I look forward to seeing the members of Dental Peers right here on Quick Hits. Thanks for joining us.